Hey, it's me, Brianka J, and you're joining me in my literary analysis. Today we're going to talk about A Passage to India by E.M Forester. The book is both political and personal journey through colonialism, and it attempts to answer the question whether an Englishman and a Britishman can be friends, especially when one's country is being controlled by the other person's empire. And so I'm going to attempt to answer that question using the novel as my cited evidence. So, to begin, A Passage to India explores the various ways colonialism affects the relationships of both the colonialized people and the colonizers. In order to explore this, E.M Forester begins and ends the novel by posing the question of whether it is possible for an Englishman and an Indian to ever be friends. E.M Forester achieves an answer to this question by constructing events and incorporating the reactions of the characters in order to illustrate the social tensions which are constantly present in society. Before finally concluding that due to the imbalanced power distribution, it will be impossible for native Indians and the members of the ruling British Empire to be friends. The relationship Aziz constructs with Cyril illustrates this due to the nature of colonialism and the social hierarchies the British Empire constructs in Chandipur. Real friendship cannot take place due to the political expectations of the British Empire and their prejudice against Indians. Although the pair wished to be friends and idealistically wished for their friendship to ease the social resistance between the two cultures, it is identified in Aziz's belief that more kindness, and even after that, more kindness, is a necessary action to appeal to the empathies of English. So what he's saying in that quote is that they don't see me as a personhood. They don't really understand individualism, emotions. They don't really believe in my humanity, and all they can understand from me is hospitality. Likewise, Cyril believes that empathy with the people and their traditions will promote harmony between the two cultures. So he believes that just by simply understanding and becoming relatable, that he can gain a better relationship with the people and their customs. Their shared theories reflect the shared morality of the two characters, as well as their genuine interests. However, both suffer from idealism that blinds them to the inescapable power structures. The roads named after victorious generals and intersecting at right angles were symbolic of the next Great Britain had thrown over India. A net that catches all the inhabitants of Chandipur in its meshes. That comes from chapter 2. So what he's saying is Britain is everywhere, and it is overpowering the central core of India, and that imbalance makes it difficult to share a human experience if one feels that they are innately better or superior than you. For instance, Fielding, who tried to resist the supremacist attitudes of his peers, cannot resist the privileges the European identity in Chandipur provides him. By moving from Europe to Chandipur, Fielding becomes a highly respectable member of British society. However, prior to visiting Chandipur, Fielding failed in all his business ventures. It is Fielding's status as a European male that grants him the privilege to assume a position such as his. So in his home country, he's a failure and struggles to gain respect. But here in Chandipur, simply by being British, he already commands respect over all the subjects that are naturally Indian. And this is unfair. True enough, it is not Fielding who dictates that foreign interests will be realized, accepted, and perpetuated in India, but he is complicit with the power structure and accepts privileges such as career advancement and respectability in the community. And Cyril Fielding profits and excels from the perpetuation and exploitation of colonialism and racial prejudice, making him a willing participant in British supremacy, the very system the Indians wish to dismantle. So the conversation becomes: is Cyril Fielding culpable? Is it directly his fault? Absolutely not. Is he a willing participant? Is he doing anything to break down those power structures? No, he is not. So while he is not the oppressor, he's not actively seeking to incorporate freedom in Shandapur either, which is a level of guilt in itself. Yet Fielding appears to be a good man, right? Aloof and isolated from social tensions, Fielding's mannerisms is an obvious misnomer which misleads Aziz into the belief that Indians and British people can be friends, against the cautionary advice of his peers who state, they all become exactly the same, not worse, not better. I give any Englishman 2 years, be he turden or burden. It is only the difference of a letter, and I give my English any English woman 6 months. This is in chapter 1. The statement is a reference to the behavior of the English peoples in India who exert attitudes of privilege by perpetuating the British superiority in foreign land. The perception of Aziz's friends represent the Indians' resentment towards British colonialism and the exploitation of their services and land. All of which Aziz ignores because of the niceties extended via Mr. Cyril Fielding. So though he is getting warnings, and though people are telling him like you can't trust them, this is how they are, Aziz is so flattered to be in the company of Mr. Fielding, he ignores all the warning signs. At this time in the novel, Aziz has only been slightly inconvenienced by the presence of the British Empire, aside from being steered off the road to allow the passing of an English car, and knowing the cold indifference that the English extend towards the natives, Aziz can remain optimistic. As his ideology for kindness, more kindness, and even after that, more kindness to ease race relations in India remains unchallenged. So he refuses to look at reality for reality. He consistently is like, I'm going to be nice, and because I'm nice, good things are going to happen to me. And I think a lot of people like to believe that, and oftentimes we find, just like in this novel and in the real world, this is a false notion that only exists in our idealistic minds. So, Adela's position shifts later in the novel. After the visit to the caverns, Aziz is wrongfully thrown in jail and accused of rape by Adela, a European woman. The charge is disgraceful and, as a member of the Muslim community and under the control of the British Empire, a penalty for death. For months, it would seem that Aziz's reputation is ruined. That is until Adela finally confesses her confusion during her testimony. So she lied, says she's raped, and then during her testimony she says, oh, I think I misunderstood, I was confused, right? In which time Aziz is redeemed. However, the damage is done, and Aziz struggles to decide on how he will be retributed. It is Fielding who reveals his true interests. His care is not for Aziz, whose reputation has been destroyed, but for Adela, housing her and caring for her supposed psychiatric condition. So, though Aziz has been thrown in jail and Cyril Fielding has said this is his friend beyond all things, race is not an issue here. He cares and looks after Adela, the white woman who lied, rather than the innocent Aziz who is being punished without reason. So, clue there. Fielding then visits Aziz and hopes to persuade him not to seek reparations, a defining moment, which reflects that although Fielding is nice and tolerable, he is British and unable to empathize with the interests of the Indians, no matter how much he believes he wants to. The line is finally drawn for Aziz at this point, and his political views of an independent India are realized. For Aziz, friendship can only occur on the basis of equality. As long as the British rule and control India, personal friendships cannot be realized. Aziz, with his newly actualized principles, realizes that although friendship can be desired from a personal stance, political interests will always interfere. And then, after equality is achieved, Aziz concluded, half kissing him, "You and I shall be friends." "Why can't we be friends now?" said Fielding, holding him affectionately. "It is what I want, it is what you want." But the horses didn't want it. They swerved apart. The earth didn't want it. Sending up rocks through which riders must pass single file, the temples, the tank, the jail, the palace. They didn't want it. They said in their 100 voices, "No, not yet." And the sky said, "No, not there." A passage indicating that the political interests of the rivaling countries will always take precedent over the personal desires of the country's inhabitants. This essay demonstrates that although some Englishmen and some Indians in E.M Forester's novel Passage to India may wish to overcome social tensions, by practicing empathy and kindness, authentic friendship remains out of reach due to the imbalanced social hierarchies present within the country. As revealed at the end of the novel, real friendship cannot take place as long as one party is at a social advantage that relies on the other party being at a disadvantage. That's all I have for you guys. That is a Passage to India, my literary analysis. The works cited here are Forester's E.M. Passage to India from the website. I don't know, I'll link it in the description box. I hope you like it. I hope this helps you with your classes. And please check for more videos just like this one. Thank you. Hey, babe.